Okay, Niku, I think we can get started whenever you're ready. Thanks.
Great. Let me know if you can hear me first.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I can, yes.
Great. Well, and also if you can see my screen, so we get this away from us. Yeah, I'm sharing my, I started sharing my presentation. Just want to know if you can see my screen. Bill?
I can, yes.
Good. All right, excellent. Thank you very much. So hello, everyone. Thank you very much for attending our seminar, our intro into Dynamics 365 applications, Power Apps applications, Power Apps environment, conceived or customized, personalized around the public sector and government. We will not get too much into the government area or into the public sector. We will try to keep it as simple as possible and present you the possibilities of the main modules in Power Apps and Power BI, the whole platform of Power Apps, and what it could do for the government sector. This is a recorded session, but please feel free to ask questions. I will, of course, answer them between my presentations, between the modules. I'll be more than happy to have an interactive session and see your interest and answer your questions if needed. We are going to talk about the Power Platform overview, and we are also going to go into the application and create a model-driven app application, a Canvas app, and then embed it in different areas. We will see how we can orchestrate the business and the flows with Power Automate, which is the former Microsoft Flow application. Also understand citizen behavior with customer insights, and we will talk about the customer insights in the end. And then, of course, seminar evaluation. Your feedback will be very much appreciated. Now, before we move on, just a couple of things about myself. I am a Microsoft trainer. I've been working with Microsoft until 2010. I worked for Oracle. I worked for telco in telco industry in Orange, but I've been doing the Dynamics 365 trainings for 10 years now on different topics: sales, customer service, field service, which is part of Dynamics 365 suite, marketing, Dynamics 365 marketing, HR, and more technical applications, more technical training such as MB200 and customization and configuration. So also you have a picture, my picture there, and just to put a name on it. Now, for directions training, training means success, and we plan to have all our customers attend these trainings even during these times and when we cannot see each other too much. We do believe that training is more important than ever, and training should remain one of the core activities or one of the most important activities during working times. An estimated up to 70% of technology projects fail in part due to poor user adoptions. This means training from the very beginning with the administrators, training with the end users, refreshments on the trainings, and so on and so forth. IDC reports training represents one concrete step IT managers can take to reduce failure risk, decrease costs, and increase project effectiveness. Now, I am a big fan of both soft skills and hard skills training. I have to say that my favorite ones are the hard skills trainings with technology behind, because you can quickly learn some skills and apply them in the day-to-day work. So I encourage you to take these trainings and increase your skills, improve your skills, pass certifications online, especially on the Microsoft area and the Microsoft stack. All right, so what we are going to see is some transformational forces in the government. This is an important thing, and as many organizations are playing offense and defense every single day at the same time, and we are talking here about security and compliance. The government institutions are attacked, or are, it's probably a very tough word, but are attacked through the internet by different malware or other viruses and so on. We are facing also compliance issues. Who has to have access to what information, to what data? This is an important force that is guiding the strategy in the government applications area. We are also facing the citizens' expectations, and more people and more citizens are used to the technology, to the online environment, using tablets, using phones. Why not accessing the government services in online? Why not access the government products on a tablet or on a phone? So the citizen expectations are increasing and are pushing the institutions, the government institutions, to go more in online or in cloud, provide these services, which are less paper and more online. We are also talking, of course, about shrinking budgets. So citizens' expectations are increasing, but the budgets for IT in the government area are shrinking. So these budgets have to be very well calculated and allocated to the right strategies, to the right applications. Also, we are facing global regulatory requirements. So I am based in Europe, and for 3 years now, we are struggling and facing the GDPR, the famous GDPR requirements. I know California has learned a lot from these GDPR requirements, and they're imposing them. It's a headache, but on the other hand, it's created with the customer in mind, with the citizen in mind, protecting privacy, protecting data. So these global regulatory requirements are also transferred from one region to another, from one country to another. So if you want to be a global player, well, not the government, but companies have to, if they want to be a global player, they have to respect these global requirements. We are also talking about data fragmentation. The government has a lot of applications, the federal institutions have a lot of applications, and they don't always communicate to one another. So the citizen is entering one platform, and the data they are looking for is probably in another platform which is not communicating, and we have this. Also, we are talking about education gaps, but education gaps, especially in the government workers. Many of them are not used to using applications, cloud applications, or many are looking for these kind of applications because they are part of a generation who is accustomed to touch devices, to tablets, to online environments, and so on. So there are transformational forces in government which are pushing the IT department, the IT teams to develop, to grow, to change, and I'm pretty sure you are feeling all these every day. Now, we are seeing three key government issues there. The first issue is how to engage and connect with citizens, and this is an important thing. How do we allow them, how do you provide access to different services, government, to make it easier, faster, and have access to the relevant information, but also make sure we are dealing with the right person when they are accessing services. Then we are talking about modernizing the government workplace, and how do we provide access to our workers to have access to our applications from everywhere, from anywhere, basically, especially these days when remote working is even more used than ever. So how do we modernize the government workplace to provide our employees, to our workers, to work from anywhere and have access securely to our environments? And then enhance government services. What do we offer new, quick, and cheap in terms of costs as accesses to our to our applications and our government services. Now, Microsoft's strategy in this area is to empower citizens, to empower societies, and basically empower governments. If we are talking about engaging and connecting, Microsoft is passionate about making sure that the government institution, the IT teams in the public sector agencies are having all the tools they need to create applications, to manage applications, to develop new applications in a secure, fast, and cost-efficient manner. Now, we have an example, for instance, for a municipal government of La Paz, which is a digitalized citizen platform that resulted in a substantial savings in times and costs. There are many examples that you can find on the case studies provided by Microsoft. But what they have done is put 90% of all citizens' procedures in online and automate them in their public institution. They had 500,000 savings only in first year just on IT resources. And what they managed to do is to reduce from 3 days to 5 minutes a typical procedure in the public sector. So an action that took 3 days, completing a form, signing the form, approving, verifying, and so on and so forth, an action that took 3 days, they managed to reduce it to 5 minutes just by implementing and automating their processes and procedures in the municipal government. Now, there are many other examples. For instance, to keep Alaska's highway open and safe during severe winter weather, the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities was determined to find a solution. And they have installed weather cloud sensors on 70 road maintenance vehicle roads across the state, which are sending this kind of data to first to the application, to their internal application, connected to Weather Cloud in Azure, in Microsoft Azure, and they are sending this data to different users, to different government workers, public sector workers, on their tablets to have access to this kind of data in due time, in real time. So I encourage you to go on this link and you will find more case studies on how local governments or federal governments or public institutions are using the Power Platform, Microsoft Power Platform, and how they do automation. Now, I just want to get into a couple of details, just a few details about the Power Apps environments and plans. I will not go into details about pricing or anything, but I just want to tell you that Power Apps US government plans are a monthly subscription, as you might know, and can be licensed to an unlimited number of users. But what is important is that Power Apps environments provide compliance with federal requirements for cloud services. We also have a link here, and you can access all the requirements that are respected, or all the information about compliancy with federal requirements regarding the cloud services. Also, the content of your organization, of the public sector, is physically segregated from the customer content in Microsoft commercial Power App services. So the commercial data is not sitting physically on the same servers, on the same environment as the public cloud, or the U.S. government plans, or the U.S. government environments. Also, you have to know, and this is common knowledge already, the customer content or the citizens' content is stored within the United States, so it does not leave the territory of the United States. And access to the organizational content is restricted to screened Microsoft personnel. So they are all verified, screened. They are all with the clearance, with the needed clearances. They're all U.S. citizens. So a lot of emphasis is put on these things. Our apps, U.S. government complies with certifications and accreditation that are required for U.S. public sector customers. And I encourage you to go on this link, and it's pretty easy to access this. Power Apps is on docs.microsoft.com, Power Platform, and for Power Apps US Government, you'll find all these details in here. And I'm also pretty sure that Microsoft employees which are not in the call today can also help you. The account managers can help you with the required data. Now, let's get into the application. If you have questions, don't hesitate to interrupt me. I'll be more than happy to have an interactive session. I'll try to answer all your questions if possible. If not, we will have Microsoft account managers answering, or we will take the questions and answer you later. So we will now dive into Power Platform, and this is one of my favorite products in Microsoft. Power Platform is a low-code platform that spans Office 365, Dynamics 365, Azure, and standalone applications. But it's basically made out of 4 major applications. Power BI, which is for business analytics, Power Apps, which is for application development, and we'll get to that in a second. Power Automate, and Power Automate is basically used for orchestrating, for automating data exchange between entities, between tables, between applications. And then Power Virtual Agents, which this goes into chatbots, into automated agents that answer different questions based on some patterns and some predefined questions. So these are the 4 main products provided by Power Platform. Also, the Power Platform sits on Common Data Service. Now, Common Data Service has recently changed the name. It's called Dataverse. So if you will find Dataverse, just so you know, we are talking about Common Data Service. The Common Data Service is a suite of services that are storing or are processing the data. It's basically, or very easily put, the database behind and the services in the database behind the whole environment. And we are creating in Common Data Services the tables, we are creating the fields, the relationships, the automation, the connectors with other tools. Also, this platform provides a set of data connectors. More than 300 connectors, predefined connectors, are already available with different applications, different tools, different environments. And the platform provides the possibility of creating custom connectors to other applications. A very powerful API, which can be used to create web services and connect to different other applications if connectors are not available yet. And also, what is very important is the AI Builder, the Artificial Intelligence Builder, which is part of the Azure platform and is a support for the Power Platform and the applications created in here. I'll give you a very simple scenario. With an AI Builder, you can easily create a Canvas app. Canvas app, it's a tablet dedicated application. So create a Canvas app, and with the AI Builder, you can use the engine for facial recognition. So people could authenticate in the application using facial recognition and no longer having to put their username and password. This could be one thing. Or based on the facial recognition engine or the what's available in the AI Builder, you can easily read the faces of people, saying someone is sad, someone is happy, or the engine even tries to give you an age based on some facial traits or some information that they read. So the engine also learns and adjusts and provides new models. Now, this is the platform. We will go into the platform in a second. Meanwhile, if you have questions, just let me know. As I said, more than happy to answer them. The platform is easily accessible if you click on make.powerapps.com. And in here, you will find those applications that I was telling you about. So the when you start the Power Apps page, basically you will see here in the navigation menu the most important things available. And Microsoft has invested a lot in the last 5 years since this platform has been launched in providing enough or extensive learning resources. So everyone that wants to start learning, whether they're a Microsoft partner or Microsoft customer, can easily go in Power Apps and click on Learn, and they will find guided learning, help topics, the community that can help to start creating their own application. Now, Power Platform is conceived, and Microsoft still promotes it, as a low-code application, transforming the users into what it's called a citizen developer. Why a citizen developer? Because the regular user without an extensive development background, software development background, can easily create applications, useful applications, in a matter of hours and days. And we are not just talking about an application, we are talking about enterprise-ready or government-ready applications. Because this is the main or the key thing: enterprise or government-ready applications. There are many other providers that can provide you low-code application or tools to create applications and so on, but the key here is enterprise-ready. This means they have the security model built in, they have the auditing model built in, they are extensible, they can be integrated in a professional manner with all the requirements, with all the required constraints, that a government or a public sector institution might have. So this is what we're talking about. And in this sense, in my opinion, now I'm not a Microsoft employee, I'm just a Microsoft trainer, but in my opinion right now, Microsoft with the Power Apps platform doesn't have a rival in the enterprise space. So Amazon is fighting there, Salesforce.com is trying to get there, but in terms of what it can offer and what it can cover in terms of functionalities, for the moment, they don't have a competition. No. So the first thing and the most important thing is the learning part, and then we are going into the apps part. And when we're talking about the applications available in here, Microsoft provides the possibility of creating 3 types of applications. We will go into those later, and you'll also see some examples. So Canvas apps, which are available on tablets and on phones, on mobile phones, and you will see how you can create applications. We will also do some demos. Model-driven apps applications. Model-driven apps applications are usually web-dedicated applications and provide a framework with the same model, with the same standardized framework of creating fields, creating views, creating forms. So in the model-driven app applications, all the application would look the same. The functionalities are different, but would look the same. In a Canvas app, the applications can vary depending on how creative the designer is and how good the developer is. And then we have the Portal app, and this is a key application launched a long time ago, but for the model-driven app, for the Portal apps, it wasn't from the very beginning. It was launched roughly 2 years ago, 1.5 years. And this provides the possibility for these model-driven apps to be exposed to external users, to citizens. So basically, with a username and a password, you could create very easily some portals that the citizen could access, see their services, create requests, access all the information that are made publicly available. So the portal apps are key in exposing data or getting data from our citizens, from our contributors, from external users, if we want to. So these are the 3 main applications that are available in this framework. And of course, we can create one and so on. Now, if we go into the common data model, with the common data services, which, as I said, is now called Dataverse, it's split by tables, and anyone with IT background will recognize these names from databases. So tables, columns, parameters, types, and so on, fields, they will be recognized in here. So this is the count table, which is the main entity. This could be the contact table, which could be the citizens table, and so on. And then we have other options in here, and even connections or connectors that are pre-built. So I told you that there are roughly 200, more than 300 connectors pre-built. So I will not get into all of these, but let's say, for instance, we would like to connect our environment to an Oracle database. You just look here for Oracle, and here it is. Now, of course, we will have to connect, use maybe a gateway if the Oracle is on-premise, installed on-premise, and we can connect directly from our model-driven app to this kind of environments. Now, once we create it, once we connect to it, with flows, we can automate exchange of data between these two applications. Now, flows is no longer called flows, it's called Power Automate, but you will still see it as flows in the Microsoft application. And then chatbots, which is the virtual agents, the AI builder, and the management of solutions. We will get into this a bit later. All right, now I'll stop for a second, and I would like to know if there are any questions from what you've seen so far. All right. You can always unmute yourself if you want, and you can ask questions instead of typing them. So as you wish. Now, I will also start with I will continue, sorry, with another product which is part of the Power Apps platform or Power Apps zone, which is the Power BI. So everything basically starts from analytics and visualizations, and people understand better and take decisions based on data that are rendered in a understandable manner, in a friendly manner. So Power BI does that. It connects to different sources of data, and we can bring data in a visual manner. Power BI is a separate license, so it's not included, but the experiences in Power BI can help you make sense of your data with ease, drive quick and confident decisions across the organization, reduce the amount of time spent in data preparation, remove the complexity of managing multiple analytics solutions with a single unified platform, and this gives every employee access to insights. So the IT team or a data scientist or a data business analyst could create this BIs connected to different data sources, so they don't have to be Microsoft data sources. They can be all sorts of data sources and render this information. The anatomy of a dashboard is you can have any data, share insights with anyone, have a seamless integration with the Microsoft applications, and we can have an extensibility model. We can connect it to other sources. We have what you see is what you get design experience. Is like PowerPoint like pixel, drag and drop experience if you want. And you can start from a template and then customize it and develop it, extend it based on your needs. Now, we also have the possibility to select from hundreds of data visualizations, as you can see in here, with different models, or build your own visualization to bring data story to life. Now, what I really like is the features that are brought by Microsoft, the new features like native intelligence. And for instance, you could ask questions to the dashboard, and the AI bots behind it, bots comes from robots, as you probably know. The AI bots, artificial intelligence bots, will try to answer, to understand the natural user language and try to answer your question. So for instance, you could go in the Power BI and say, show me who is the largest or the biggest contributor to our budget. And it will show you, based on if the details are in here, it will show you this kind of information. Or show me the number of total citizens registered in our application or in our tools. And it could try and give you this kind of information if the data exists. And of course, for big data, for a large set of data, which is stored in different locations, we can use Azure data lakes and Azure data services to bring them, create this data warehouse, and then expose and see the data with the visualization. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you know already, you can easily install on your desktops from Windows, if you have Windows operating system, you can install Power BI. So just go on the Microsoft Store, on the Windows Store, search for Power BI, but make sure you search for Power BI Desktop. So this one, otherwise this will be the mobile application, Power BI Desktop. This will download your application. For me, it's already downloaded. And after you download it, you can launch it. And with Power BI Desktop, you can start creating your own visualization. It's free. So Power BI comes with a free license. Power BI Desktop is free. You can connect to data and start creating your applications. Now, the license comes in scenarios, into our scenarios, when we want to share it with someone else, when we want to get the other features, the pro versions or the enterprise versions. So of course there is a license behind, but to start in your own terms, to start in your own pace, all you have to do is download it from the store. In here, of course, you can log in or not. It's not mandatory, but immediately you will get access to connecting to getting data into your application. So what I will do, I will just connect to a Power Apps environment and immediately get information about my data, the tables that I have in there. So once I connect, just 1 second, I'll open another environment. Okay, I can say connect to Oracle. Oracle database, connect to MySQL if you want, or you can connect to a common data service, which is basically the database for Power Apps applications. So let me do this again, and now we will connect it to Power Apps. Meanwhile, while this, okay, let me also take the address. We need this web address here. And I will put common data service, connect. And now, of course, it will ask me the server URL. It will ask me the connection. The connection credentials. All right. And it's bringing all the entities, the tables, which are available in our application. Now, I've done this demo before, so we do have some tables which are called citizens or are contributors and so on. So we will find these entities available in here, and we will connect to these entities. And then, of course, you see here all the visualizations. And once we connect to the data, we can create our own tables, we can create our own charts, donuts, and a lot of other functionalities or another type of charts are available in here. Of course, we can create trends, we can create patterns and analyze them in Power BI. Now, so I will connect to contacts. All right. And that's pretty much it. All right. And then it will bring me the information about my contacts. I do have some data in the application, so it should show me, as you can see, I have 217 contacts, citizens, so it should bring me some information after this is contact. Now, be aware this is going to take some time, more or less time, depending on your internet connection, depending on your computer, the computer's configuration. So some things, because this requires computing power, you have to take into consideration some items, and before you see how fast or how slow it will run. Yeah. But what I wanted to show you is how fast, how quickly you can create connections and connect to data sources in your own environment. So if you have access to that environment, you can bring the data on your computer immediately. Here are all the fields that are available. You can start creating your charts, your graphs. Just bring it here and you'll have a table, or bring it here and you can have a chart, a pie chart available. All right. We will come back to Power BI when we are talking about embedding these applications, but I would like to move into the Power Apps applications. So as I told you, Power Apps framework, Power Apps platform is conceived as a low-code application or low-code framework for creating applications. And when I say low-code, it's not big words, because if I want to start what it's called a model-driven app, I can easily go in here, click on new, and the very first thing that it starts is going to be a designer. This is how it's called, the designer. And in here, I can say Gov app citizens view, citizens contributions. All right. Okay, I can change this icon if I want to, that's fine. And then I can start and create the application. And of course, the first thing I need to do is create a sitemap. Sitemap are the navigation buttons, the navigation page, the navigation options available in the application. So this is the first thing that I need to do. I'll go on a sitemap. And in the sitemap, I can name my area and say, City of New York. All right, I will name my group. You'll see where these are all used. My work, and then the entities, the tables that we are going to use. So the first one is contacts, and I will rename this and call them citizens. Just for the sake of it, I'll save it. All right, and then I'll add another sub area which is called companies, and I'll call them accounts. Right, save, and then I'll add a dashboard because I want to bring some very nice information to this, some design, some graphics and charts. Let me select it from here, dashboard. All right, save. I need to select the dashboard, the default dashboard that we'll start with. Let's see. Let's put the customer service. Okay. And another one, just to have a couple of them, and I'll call this activities. So basically someone could enter their timesheets, they could put reminders, they could put appointments and use them as a personal calendar to store information, to store their activities in here. And of course, based on this, you can create then timesheets, you can create time reports, you can assign different tasks, different activities very, very easily. So I'm publishing right now the app, and I will go back into the app designer. Yeah, all the entities that I added, all the tables are in here. Now, if I want to make sure I have the right form is a way of capturing the data. Yeah, I will just add this one. I will just add this one and this one. I don't need other forms. Yeah, save, validate, and then of course publish. After we publish this application, we can play it. This is how it's called, play our application, our model-driven app application. Click on play, and we have a brand new application that it's completely separate from the other applications from a design perspective, but unified in terms of data. So the data is in the same place, but the access to our employees to our users is separate from a security role, from a data access perspective, and so on. Now, the model-driven app application is a very cost-efficient way to create applications quickly, designed for very specific line of business or very specific departments or very specific needs. And in a matter of hours or days, you can create an application which gives you the information about the citizens, but it doesn't give you the complexity of all the other features added in the application. So I'll give you an example. In the same database, we have another model-driven app application, which is used for, let's see, regional emergency or COVID. Admin app regional emergency response, where we have parent organization system, regions, facilities, countries, supplies, staffing types, and so on, where they can report all the COVID incidents. And this is an application. This is another application with different accesses, with different information. We can restrict access to these applications based on security rules. So a user could have access to one or two or more applications if we give them access to the same user within the same license, by the way. So it's no additional license if you have a Power Apps per user plan, for instance. On the other hand, you can restrict it per license. And if someone needs to have access only to this app, why should we buy a license for everyone or for every application? No, you can have a license per user per app. So this is also available. So this is what I find really, really nice or really useful in creating the model-driven application. You can have the same database with in the same place, the data being in the same place, but different purposes, different accesses, different access for different users. Now in here, as you can see, this is what it's called a view. We can access our citizens. We can see, if we go into a profile, we can see the profiles, and this is a form. This is what I told you earlier, the forms, and we have the COVID-19 statistics for this user. We don't have anything for the moment, but we have other type of data that can be created and brought for this user. So first name, last name, titles, addresses, multiple addresses if needed. A lot of information can be brought into the same place, and of course they can be separated if needed. So if I don't need to see everything in here, I can provide access to some users only to some data if required. Now, let's say you want to change this. You want to add a citizen ID. You created this field and you want to create it quickly. So all you have to do is go in your app designer. Let's make sure we are on the right form. So the form is called Contact for Interactive Experience. We will go in here on our form, and this form can be edited. Okay, so in here we have this form which is opening, and on the form, still loading, on a form we can add a new field. Now, and we have this button. All right, form field. One more time. This is loading. It's not very fast, but we'll get there, not to worry. All right. Come on, open. Now there's always the switch to classic possibility. I wanted to use this this new way of adding fields, but I'm a classical guy, so I will switch to classic and have the previous way of adding fields. Just 1 second. It might be because of the browser. Sometimes we need to be careful with the browser that we're using. The supported one is Edge, Chromium, and Microsoft browsers. I took the liberty of using Firefox because I have other applications opened. But on the other hand, I switched to Classic. In the Classic version, you will have the same data, the same forms, the same view, but it's the old way of adding data, adding fields to the form. Meanwhile, let me just see if I refresh this, what will happen. Okay. Still loading. This should load much faster, but it also depends where we are. So I'm based in Europe right now, so it's connecting to a US environment as I can see. All right. Anyways, this opened faster, the classic way, and we have the possibility to create a new field. In this field, I can say citizen ID. I could define this simple line of text, and then I can save and create new. And when creating new, of course, I can go on different type of fields. I can drop down fields, option sets, decimals, currency, last. And I could put the citizenship. And here I can have it as an option set, and then I can define it here as US citizen, EU citizen. There. Okay. And now I have two fields that I have created very, very quickly with 0 lines of code, by the way. So that's an important thing to remember. I use 0 lines of code to have to create these fields and to bring them on my form. And then, of course, we will capture data. We will get data inserted in these forms. So now I am going to see my fields. My fields are the citizen ID. I will bring it here with drag and drop. I'll put the citizenship here, save. And after save, I need to publish. Okay. All right, and I will go now into my application, this one. I will refresh. And here they are. So I have 2 new fields created in a matter of minutes. I could have created them much faster if the internet connection would have helped. So it's already there. It's created. I can start bringing in data. I can use them in interrogations in Power BI. Yeah. So they're all available, or this is already available to be used in a matter of seconds. So you can create these kind of applications in a matter of days, and They're ready to use. They have the security behind. They have the security model. And when I'm talking about the security model, it's quite a complex security model. I'll go now into the settings, but basically the security model could go to the field level. So I can show these fields to everyone except this field, the social security number, which can be hidden. And this is also done by customizing the system, not by code, not by development. So this is very, very important. And in the security model, you will see some very complex security roles that can be personalized, can be customized, can be adjusted to different needs, to different requirements. So just to show you how a security role would look like. So let's take project approver. And if we click on it, it will bring us the matrix of approvals or of access to different entities. Do you have the right to create, to read, to write, delete, append, assign, share, and so on? So these are very, very complex matrices, access matrices on security, and they are already available. You don't have to recreate them, because when you start an application from scratch, this is one of the biggest headaches there is to how to create a security model, who has access to what. So that's covered with this system. Now, by raise of hands, you can wave in the application. I just want to see if you're still with me. Who was familiar or who knew about the model-driven apps? All right, Jessica. Okay, so we have some people there. All right. Thank you very much for confirming. Looking forward to your questions. Good. So these are the, as I said, the model-driven apps application, but now we can do a lot of other things with them. So one thing we can do is, for instance, we can integrate it with SharePoint. So what if I want to store the data of my employees, not in the database, because this will be too complicated and it will immediately load my data. What if I want to store it, to see it in here, but to actually store it in SharePoint or in other place, which can be accessible by someone who doesn't have the license or who doesn't have who doesn't have to go into this application to find that data. So what I can do is I can create a SharePoint environment. The SharePoint site, of course, is on the government data center, on the US government data centers, created by Microsoft, of course, for US government. And I will quickly create a SharePoint application. Are you familiar with SharePoint integrations with model-driven app? By raise of hands, you can show me who is familiar with this integration while I do it. Okay, we do have some people here. Good. Now, in the new applications, in the new model-driven app applications with a unified interface, there are some important features and from a user perspective, some important features in there. Now, I will create a site, and you can create some marvelous websites right now. SharePoint is no longer what it used to be. I can create a communication site, or which can be like a website, an internal website, but I will call it Citizens Documents Intranet. All right, okay. Site owner. All right, I'll be the site owner, finish. And now I'll copy this link and it creates the site. While it creates the site, I will show you what is possible also to do SharePoint. With SharePoint, this is not a platform, this is not a included in the Power Apps suite, but it's included in the Office 365 license. So you can basically create beautiful intranets with just drag and drop functionalities like you would do in any regular website or CMS, content management system. So you just click on edit. It's no longer the very difficult to use, smart but very difficult to use SharePoint. It's a very intuitive. You drag and drop. You can insert different areas. You can insert even videos in here, embed them from Microsoft Stream and from YouTube, but also Microsoft Stream. Not sure if you're familiar with Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream is the corporate YouTube, and you can have your own internal tool for managing videos, and then publish them on internet without any external access. So they cannot be published in external, or they cannot be embedded from external sources. You use Stream, record it, and publish it or provide the video for internal purposes. Now the website is done, is created. The intranet is created. I will just go into the administration. I will go into the data management. And just quickly connect to our SharePoint environment. All right, sorry, it was document management I wanted to click because we are managing the documents. All right, enable. So as you can see, it's only some clicks away. Enable the SharePoint integration. Next. Online, next. All right, we will specify the URL. Okay, finish. And now the integration is almost done. This means I can open the document management settings wizard. I can go here, and then I can say on which entities, on which tables into the system I want to provide this functionality of adding data, of adding information, adding data to these entities. So then with drag and drop, I can very nicely provide this functionality of adding data, embedding data into the contact area or into the company's area, because I can bring all sorts of data in here. So they are created. One more click and based on entity, that's fine. It will automatically create a structure, a share folder, a folder structure in SharePoint. So it will start from the contact, and then if you have other entities which are related to contact, you can immediately connect them. And then, of course, you can create your own documents based on this. I'm not sure if you're familiar or how familiar you are with the Word templates. So let's say in here from the model-driven app, you will have some templates you want to export immediately with the citizens' data. So you have the possibility to create these templates. It's very user-friendly. It's easy to understand. There are videos on the internet and the Microsoft documentation. You can create these templates. Could be contracts, could be any type of document. Export them in Word document, and we'll pick this data from here. Also, you can export them to PDF if you want, or send them to PDF to the citizens by email. A lot of automation can be done in here. Now, I could talk about model-driven apps for days. It's one of my favorite subjects, but I want to go into the next type of application, which is the Canvas apps. which are the Canvas apps. Now, the Canvas apps, they are mainly conceived for mobile devices, for tablets or for phones. They are not created for external users. So these applications, the Canvas apps, are created for internal users, but they serve a lot of purposes. Inspection applications, submitting the COVID cases that we have in the hospital to a mobile device, to a tablet, and it goes into the database. You can have different requests. You can put this tablet available to everyone, to all the workers, and they can log in and have different requests in there. So a lot of scenarios can be used, and I'll show you a couple of these scenarios. Now, how these apps are created or what do they contain? They support any platform, so you can download them from iTunes, from App Store. You can download from Google Play, and they will use the native functionalities of the device, like the camera, like the GPS, the penning, and everything. You can share the apps. Yeah. So the upside of this, or the main benefit, is that you can create a new version, publish it, and everyone will just refresh their application and have the latest version. No need to publish it on the stores, wait for a couple of days for Google or for Apple to approve them. Yeah. And then being published, they are there, available immediately after doing some updates. Seamless integration with Power BI, with Microsoft Teams, with Dynamics 365 application, with Azure. No limits in terms of extensibility. No one says that this data has to be sent to Common Data Service. We can connect this application using the Canvas apps and the Common Data Services directly to a MySQL database. What you see is what you get: design experience, data connectivity, built-in platform, and app logic. If you can understand formulas in Excel, you can add the logic to your Power. So that's pretty much what Microsoft is stating in here. So let's see how an application is created. So very quickly, you can go into Power Platform, into make.powerapps.com, click on New, click on Canvas Apps, and you have the possibility to start from the data source or from the design. So you can start from the data, or where you're storing your data, or you can start from a layout, a phone layout or a tablet layout, depending on how you want to have your application, or for which type of devices. Of course, on different on different devices, on different tablets, it would look a bit differently, but it will the application will try to render as good as possible on every tablets. So I can start from data, and as I can say, I can pick up my data source, or I can start from the layout. And I will start. We have some examples in here. I will start with a tablet layout from a template, and as you can see, Microsoft is providing some templates to play with, basically. You can have a budget tracker, you can have a site inspection, you can have a service desk application, leave requests, that you can use. But let's have a site inspection, which could be useful in a citizens development scenario, or citizen applications for citizens. So I have connected it to OneDrive for Business for a data source. This means that every request will send the data into an Excel sheet, which is stored on OneDrive. But the data source could be any data source you would like, Common Data Services, or maybe CDS, or maybe Oracle databases, or Excel databases, or other type of databases that you might want to use. And now the application is loading the studio, which is allowing me to modify things, to rearrange things. I was telling you in the beginning, when we started to talk about the application, is that Canvas apps are focusing more on design, and are allowing you to be creative with the design. of course, having the functionalities, and they're also focused on tablets and phones, while model-driven apps are focused on web versions of the applications and maintaining the same structure, the same access. In here, you can have as much as possible, as different as possible, as creative as possible in creating these applications. Now, what I will do, I will save it. I will put it as site inspection demo 2. Save. And after this is loaded and saved, I can share it with other users. So that's an important thing. The first thing I can do, I could share it with other users. This is one thing. But there are other things that I can do. So what I need from here is, so let's go into closing this. All right, I can go into our Power Apps. I'll find my Power Apps, click on details, and what I will need is the app ID. So I can, of course, make it available on the tablets or on the phones. You have the possibility to test if you are a developer, if you are an IT administrator, if you are someone that is in charge of the IT team and in charge of developing these applications. You have the possibility to test them on your Windows devices. So you don't have to test them on the mobile devices first. You can test them on Windows device and see how they look. Actually, it's much easier. You have access to everything. So you can download from the store, Microsoft Store, the Power Apps application, and then you can log in and emulate or simulate how the application would look like. So this is another demo that I've created. And this is a very useful tablet application for a coffee store or a coffee shop, where they can greet the customers, and they can see then, based on their loyalty card, who they are. They can suggest new applications, and with a touch device, you can do simulations for this application. And this can be easily installed on a tablet, on a phone, and then provide access to these functionalities. Okay, I can have names. I can see some information from other data sources. I can see their activity, their interactions so far. So I could create this type of applications. It's the same thing in here. If I click on play, my application will show me how it will look on a tablet or on a phone. In our case, on a tablet. So I can easily see that the device is trying to access my camera, is trying to access my location, and then I can see the application, how it will look like on a mobile device. So click on the new inspection. I can add here new demo inspection. It could take my GPS location. This means it will take the GPS from my device, or I can enter my address. Or NY Street, New York, NY. Now, I'm not sure if this is a correct zip code, but let's hope for it. No. All right, I can add photo, I can click done, and this is an application that I can use. All right, very quickly, very fast. As I said, you can create applications to service your internal teams, to service different departments or very specific and quick needs. Instead of creating or doing bids and having a lot of companies invited to showcase and buy an application and take a lot of budget and a lot of time, you can have in your teams people ready, trained to create these kind of applications. And you can do more than this. So for instance, I can easily pick up the app ID, and if I want to, I would like to include it in our SharePoint. So I can have, let's put it on the first page in here. Click on Edit. Now I can do some changes to it. I can add in here, click on this. Our apps, web link or ID. I can show a border, republish. And in my SharePoint, I immediately have my application embedded. All right, 0 lines of code, and it's there, it's working, and it's embedded directly into the application. Now I want to make our Canvas app much nicer, our model-driven app much nicer, to add some photos functionality. Well, that's fine. Okay, we can do this. So we can go into the app designer, into the form designer. I can add a new field. In here. So I will call it Site Inspector app. I will put it as a multiple lines of text. I will put it as 50,000 characters. That's fine. Don't forget, you can still ask questions. If there is anything you'd like to talk about, don't hesitate. All right. Now I will need to refresh this a bit. Function F5. Usually the fields are published after a couple of minutes, but I don't want to wait. So this is why I'm refreshing this. And I will create a new tab, one column tab. I will call it, with the relevant name, Inspector app. All right. I will bring my custom fields here. Add Inspector app. That's fine. And what I will do, I will tell the application, put my Canvas app, put it in here, embedded in here. So I'll go on Controls, Add Canvas app, Add, make it available for web, tablets, and phones. App ID. All right, that's fine. Put it also on the tablet. Okay, save and publish. Function F5. And this is loading my my application, Site Inspector app. It already showed up. And in the same application, I already have another app, but connected to different data source, connected to different environments, connected to other sources. As I said, they don't have to share the same database. Now, this could be a totally different database from with other sources, or sending data to other applications. But I can use it in the same application for citizen contribution. I could have the Site Inspector app embedded in here. By the way, the Canvas apps or the application is here. Yeah, I just need to play with it and make it nicer, but it's already in here. By the way, this application can also be embedded in Power BI. So I can go here into the dashboards, and you see this little sign in here. And from here, I can add the app ID, and then it will connect to that application, and I can insert data from my dashboard directly. So what do you think about this? What's your feedback on what you have seen so far?
Looks like a lot of really great stuff. This is Russ Z. I was curious about the access controls. I'm assuming that someone can create an app and then only people with the proper accesses can actually get to it. Only people with proper accesses could enter certain things, and that's all probably controlled through Active Directory.
Correct. So after creating the application, now this is only my application. What I have to do is to share it. Now I can share it with a person, or I can share it with a security group, which is defined in Azure Active Directory. So I have it here, share, and this points to the Azure Active Directory. And then I can, let's see if I have anyone in here. Alex, John. And I don't have any Johns. I should have someone. Let's see, users, active users. Yeah, so Alan Steiner could be one of. Or Ali, or Alan. Yeah. So these are users. They could be co-owners if I want to. The system tells me that I'm going to give them access to the Excel that it's the output or where the data is exported, and also to OneDrive for Business where I am sending that Excel. If I click share, they will have access to this application.
Gotcha.
And this is taken from Azure Active Directory. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I was wondering about it, I guess it's as much a cultural question as anything, is if you've got someone who's gathering information and they're emailing around an Excel spreadsheet, and then everyone, adds to that, or they do it on a shared drive. I guess this effectively is kind of a way of doing that without having to email the thing around and without having to specifically have a shared drive location. So it's addressing something that's already going on. It's just doing it in a more efficient way.
Exactly, more controlled way.
Okay.
Let me ask you: are you using Teams, Microsoft Teams?
Yeah, but the culture at our agency is such that I think it's new to most people, and so we're not that mature at it, and I think there's a lot of concern. For example, we've got government folks and contractors. Should contractors be allowed to create new channels or new teams is one of the questions we're wrestling with. And so
now this can be restricted with the security rules, of course, and with the policies. Yes. But if you're using Teams, or if you find this a way of collaborating for the future, everyone sitting at home and everything, one thing you could do, for instance, you could create this kind of applications and publish them in the Teams or in the channels. So in here, I could easily go and add a tab, go here in the Power Apps, find my application, choose from an existing app. This is verifying my applications on the tenant. You see there are a lot of demos in here created by Microsoft. Emergency response app, emergency discharge planning, equipment response, healthcare work stuff. So a lot of templates have been created by Microsoft since March around COVID and around answering. Yeah. But our application, it's ready to be used in Teams. So if you're comfortable with Teams, or people are starting to use Teams, now I have my files, and here I have my chat windows. By the way, I can also see and add things to this model, to this Canvas app. Now, just FYI, not only Canvas apps can be embedded in here, also model-driven apps can be embedded in here. So if I go in the Power Apps, I can also find my model-driven apps available. So not only this application, which could take a while to create, I can also find my model-driven apps. Now, another way to have it is by going into the apps, and I can download it from anywhere I have created it. You see also the Add to Teams button. So this can basically be added to Teams. I download the app that I created. Okay, save, site inspection, and then I publish it to the store in Teams. So I can go here, upload a custom app, upload for Contoso. This is the company. Okay, downloads, site inspection. All right. And all my users can easily go into Teams, find it, install it, and that's that. Now, I can click it, add it. I can add it to a channel if I want to, or add it here to the menu bar. So I don't have to have it only in a channel. I can have it for everyone available if I want to. I can pin it, and it will stay here. Okay, that's very quickly. I have really quickly added information to or applications to Teams, and I have expanded this, and that's a useful way for many scenarios. You want to capture the leave and absences, all the requests. Okay, let's have our application in here, and you can put your leave and absence request directly in here. We need to connect it to an app. That's fine. We need to have. We no longer need to have it in Excel. We no longer need to have it on paper. It's in here. You're authenticated with your username and password. So this is the best authentication you could have. So security roles in place and everything, and it's embedded. And then you can navigate to your chat. You can navigate. You can create your own conferences, calls, your calendar from Exchange, and everything else is directly embedded. By the way, you can embed Power BI. You can embed other things if you want to stream, like videos. We use this in training scenarios. So we have our team for training or for one customer, and then in here we add videos, supporting videos that we recorded our teams, and we put them through Microsoft Stream. So very straightforward and easily accessible.
Where is the code that's generated under the covers stored? I assume administrators can get to that and see that if they need to.
Yeah, so this code you mean in here, or the site inspection?
I mean, well, I'm figuring that you're creating stuff behind the scenes that the citizen developer never sees, and that's stored somewhere.
Yes, so I'm editing this in the Power Apps in the Canvas Studio, where more or less I need to enter some code. Yeah, I can create some code, and sometimes it's useful because I'm not a developer. My background is not a developer, so I get stuck to some things, and then I involve a developer. But there are many things that can be done without a developer. Creating pages, the application pages. Now these are all pages in a mobile application. Having a camera connector. This is a connector that it's built in. You just need to activate it, and it will connect to any camera on the device where it's used. So it will use the native or the native connector or the native camera provided on the device. So these are pages. Then in these pages, I can bring some new fields. Then I can bring a new list. This is called a list. So it takes some time to learn it, to learn what it's doing. But then again, you can go into the advanced mode, and then you'll get into some coding. Then you get into some expressions. Then you can add some JavaScript if you want some specific things to show or to happen on the user side. So yeah, you can go really deep into the code. And
so
then
if you leave, where is this stored so that, like, when you leave and your account is disabled, does it cease to exist, or is it stored on a OneDrive that's tied to Power Apps versus a OneDrive that's tied to your account?
It's stored in this environment in here. It's stored on the environment,
Okay.
which is basically in the tenant of your company. So when you create an Office 365 account or an Azure account, you are also given a tenant. Usually the tenants are creating this pattern, company name with default. And then you can have as many environments as you want, and you pay for, of course, for different purposes. So an environment is a database, but with everything separated from this perspective, with different tables, different connectors, with different model-driven apps, applications, and so on. And then you can go also into the administration. So if you click on admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com, you can see a list of all your environments. And you can do backups in here. You can do the administration behind this. So this is my environment. You can convert it to a production environment. You can, if I go here, I can add the users. I can, I don't see the backup because it's a trial environment, but I can do a backup. I can do recovery. The backup is automatically done each day. So you can always restore, but you can also do your manual backup if you want. So before deploying something important, you do a manual backup, so you know that that's a restore point, and you can come back to that. Gotcha. You can even bring backups from many months ago. I personally did a mistake on one of my customers' environments, and it was a sandbox, luckily, but I needed something that happened 3 months ago. I called Microsoft support. It wasn't available in these options, but they said, okay, we'll take it from our tapes. You're still using tapes. And they restored my 3 months ago version.
And then if you leave the company where you're at, who inherits the things you've created, and do they continue to function just under a different user ID or something?
Yes. So basically what's happening, and there's a best practice, you should never delete a user. You should deactivate, you should remove access, you should block, you should remove the licenses, but you should never delete a user. Even if you delete by mistake a user, if you delete an app, with the PowerShell, you can still restore it. Okay. But if someone leaves the company, just suspended, the application will still be here, and the global admin could go and share it or reassign the users.
Gotcha.
All right, so that's important. Also, they can always, as a best practice, could be maybe every version that I'm creating here, I can download it. So I can go in here and export the package and store it someplace else as a versioning or as an application. This could also be available to someone else. I can put it on a SharePoint site and have it there, and so on and so forth. In the application development best practices, we are saving these as solutions and as packages, and then we restore them if we need them. So we just don't rely only on this environment as a backup. But you have PowerShell to restore in case something happens. And normally you should never delete a user because it comes with a lot of data behind, and just suspend, block, remove licenses, and that's that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
And that's a very good point what you told me, because if people are using tablets, people are using phones and everything, if you want to suspend someone's access, you just go in Azure Active Directory and you suspended the access to all the applications, regardless if they're mobile or if they're web-based, or you just block the user and the person doesn't have access to, or maybe they lost their phones, or maybe if you want to make sure the data is no longer accessed, just go on in the administration, block the user, and that's that. No. I don't want to talk about double authentication, multi-factor authentication here, and a lot of other security things, which are more used in Europe than in US, I might say, but they are also very, very useful in the government context, multi-factor authentication, SMS, phone app, a lot of other things. And this is built in. This is coming with the application. All right. Any more question? Any other question you might have before we move to another topic?
Are all these features available in the GCC High, or this is, I know you're doing a demo in a regular GCC environment, or is it commercial?
This is commercial environment. It's not a GCC environment. The majority of them is available in GCC environment, and probably the Microsoft account managers would be the most suitable persons to talk about this.
Thank you.
But the majority of them.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
No, I just want to say that the majority of the options are available as far as I know. Majority of functionalities.
With the Power Apps, when you're creating them, does it do where you have like your own personal Power Apps, and then you have like more globally available, like your corporate or widespread available Power Apps? Like, how's that managed?
Now, the strategy, the Microsoft strategy behind this, and this is in the commercial area mainly, is to empower all the employees to create their own applications. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the reason behind, or this is the reasoning, or this is the strategy, to help them or to provide some tools to quickly create some applications for their needs. Now, you can restrict this, of course, but employees with their corporate username and password account, they could have access to creating these kind of applications. This is why it's called citizen developer. This is democratizing the applications. And if the application is really, really good, of course, this could be applied to across organization. But this is basically allowing users to create their own apps if they want to.
Let's see. So there's no like overall governance or management of that. And a previous person mentioned, if someone leaves, then those apps kind of stay with that person. And if you want them, you basically need to log in as that person, and then I guess you can port them out if you want them still available. How would you manage that?
Now that there is this governance, you can have access to what they have developed. This is still on your tenant. This is still on your environment. So as a global admin, you could do that. But you can also restrict as a global admin the possibility for everyone to create their own application.
So as a global admin, you would see all the applications that everyone else has made. Is that what you're saying?
Normally, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
As I see, I think it's the normal way to do it.
Okay, great.
Now there are some things that are specific to. You can see here my apps or org apps, but my apps doesn't mean that the global admin doesn't have access. It means that it's not shared with others. No. So if a user is complaining that they cannot see the app, what I have to do is share it. And then they will go into the org apps and see the applications that have been made available for them.
Okay. So if it hasn't been shared, then the global admin wouldn't see it, though.
No, the global admin can go and see it. The other users can't see it.
Right. So the global admin can see all the my apps for each user.
Yeah. With not directly PowerShell.
Okay, so they'd have to dig into the back end to do it. It's not
of course.
native
It's not straightforward.
interface
No.
for them to do that.
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, there are some things like this in Microsoft applications. For instance, if I'm creating in my model-driven app environment, if I'm creating my own views, so I can go here and create my own views. These are not immediately accessible to the system administrators or my own charts, or so. I can have access to those in the end. So this is a recent thing. I think in the last 6 months or this year has been launched this possibility for a global admin to see those views, but it's not immediately accessible to the system administrators. No.
I've got kind of an odd question. I'm old enough to remember the days when people could write queries that would just clobber your production system without understanding what they had done. Are there protections in place that keep people from designing an app that can create circular logic and things of that nature that could cause problems?
No, they don't have access to this environment, for instance. But again, the functionalities, the access to the database is really, really limited. You can now start and create queries, but this is a very recent thing on one hand. On the other hand, people don't have access to this environment. To create these kind of applications, they would create an additional environment for themselves. And what would happen is they will see, or the administrator will basically see here an environment with the user's name. So they will see a list of environments created for those users. They don't have access to this environment unless I give them access to. But if a user starts creating applications, they will not create on these environments, on the system administrator or the environments administrated by global admin or someone in the company. So if I made you understand that they can actually create on this environment, no, they need to create their own environment with the company user's name, with the government's username and address. That's fine, but it will be an additional environment created in here. Let me see if I can show you how this would look.
I was actually kind of thinking in terms of like, is it possible to, when you're doing the drag and drop stuff, to create something that runs a search that takes so long when it's run against a large thing that it just slows everything down. So I was thinking more in terms of, can you, with all the proper permissions and everything, just accidentally make a choice in your app that leads to a really big query that just slows everything down? Or I wasn't sure in modern systems how well that's protected against. I know in the old days you just didn't allow people to do certain kind of joins, but I wasn't sure with these if certain things are just like
direct access to the database you don't have. That's clear. That's very, very clear. Now,
so the drag and drop things you don't. It won't allow you to probably build something that would, because they're sort of canned routines. That
in 99%, in 99% of the cases, it won't. But it happened to me.
Oh, is that right?
I created a flow. And that flow, I'm not sure what parameters I put it in, because as I said, I'm not a developer, but I did create a flow and it started triggering notifications until I realized what I did. It has already sent like 350 notifications.
Gotcha.
But it has a limitation, and it automatically stops after if they see that I think it's created in a very short time. An interrogation is very short time. It has a throttling protection system, something like this, and it stopped automatically after 100 flows because it saw that it has a lot of requests in a very short time, and it shouldn't be like this, so it stopped, and then
Perfect.
it created again.
Cool.
Yeah, so I saw the 300 emails, but they weren't generated in 1 second or in a couple of minutes. They were generated 100. It stopped. It sent the notification that it was an error. Check the flow, and then after some hours, it started to send again. I was sleeping. I didn't see this notification, and yeah. So, but
Cool.
access to direct environment to the database you don't have, and this is how it looks. So for instance, you will see this environment, the list of environments and administrators, and when a user is creating their own environment, you will see it like this: developer, and with the name of the user. All the others are corporate environments. This one is individual and is developer type. It's not a sandbox, it's not a production, it's the developer type, and they can do whatever they want in there if we allow them to.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right. I will go right now into Flow, Power Automate, and Power Automate is part of the, as I said, as the low-code automation strategy, and we can use very visual ways of creating automation and data exchange between different applications or between different entities, between different tables, and do triggers, things that weren't possible so far, or were giving us a lot of headaches in the model-driven apps previously, are possible with flows. Now, one of the biggest advantage of Flow, of Power Automate, is that it already has some predefined connectors and some predefined patterns. Yes. And as you can see, it's really visual. And you can start, for instance, by saying, please verify every day if we have the right stock for a certain product. If the stock is beyond or is below a certain limit, then what you should do, start an approval and send it to the director to approve this purchase. If it's approved, then if yes, then send an email to our supplier to bring these products. So with flows, you can automate processes really easily and really fast based on some triggers. You can insert approval processes if needed. You can insert branches, and when a certain condition happens, you can send an email, do another notification, and so on and so forth. Now, one of the flows that I recently created was to verify each day if any employee were celebrating their birthday on that day, and if it was their birthday, then send a very nice HTML card and say congratulations, happy birthday, and so on and so forth. And so that was this is a very simple flow to create, but we can create more complex flows. More complex flows created by some of my colleagues was when it's triggered, create an invitation in DocuSign. I'm sure you all know what DocuSign is, with an I-9 form. Then the person that receives the I-9 form should fill it in, bring it back into the model-driven app application, save it on a SharePoint environment. And now there are some steps you can do by drag and drop, but a lot of other steps are created with code and with entering some code in there. So you can go from simpler to complex to create this kind of trigger actions, approvals, and notifications, and everything. The good thing about this is support of any platform. There is also an application in the stores for managing flows. So let's say you don't have access to your computer, but you need to approve a flow. You can go on your flow application on the mobile phone and approve it in there in the flow application with your username and password. Click on that, the flow will trigger, will wait for your approval, and you can have it on your mobile phone as an approval process. Extensibility model, if you can no longer do it with drag and drop. You can do it with code. And extend that information. What you see is what you get, very visual. Data connectivity, it uses the same connectors that the model-driven, the CDS, the Common Data Service environment is using. Built-in data platform, it can be connected to the Common Data Service as a database environment, and it has the logic and automation for these flows. So I would go in here, and from this flows, I can create my own flows. If I'm an administrator, I can connect to the environment and impact the actions of other people. So I can go in here. I could say a scheduled flow, and I would say, okay, start tomorrow. Repeat every day, and then I could give it a name. Automated demo flow. Create. And then I have the recurrence. In the recurrence, I could say start every day at time zone, with the time zone would be New York time area. So I think it's this one. UTC -5, I think, as far as I know, or this one, Eastern time. Then start time, start at not at 8 a.m., could be 6 a.m. and so on. Then after adding this recurrence, and this will happen every day, connect to my environment, to the Common Data Service, and get me a list of records, get a record or list the records. Let's start a trial. List the records. List now the records. This is a premium connector, so I need to start the trial for flow. Flow dot. The license is included in some applications. So there are some licenses included with a certain number of flows, so you have access to premium connectors. If you don't have access to premium connectors, then of course they need to be purchased in another license. Just use my admin thing. Sign in. Okay, and this should give me the access to my environment, or I can start using the other connectors or the other actions which are not premium. But what I could do here is basically list the records, perform an action, create a new record, delete a record if something happens, get some information from another record, get file or image content. So I can do these actions which are predefined, but there are also other type of connectors. So I can connect to Microsoft Teams, I can connect to Excel, and I can connect to SharePoint, I can connect to weather forecast. Get forecast today. All right, in Imperial or in metric system. Okay, location could be Paris. Okay, save, and then test your flow. But again, this is a very simple thing. And every morning, I should get the forecast for today. This could also be sent by email. Let's see what it does. I ran my workflow successfully, and you see I have no error. It doesn't output anything, but I can I can send it into an email. I can present it in a very friendly interface, but this is the data that it brings. So cloudy, rain chance 100%, maximum wind speed. So this is brought from the weather.com environment. And this can be exposed and pushed into a model-driven app or a Canvas app if I want to. But there are other scenarios where I could use this automation. And as I told you, there are already some predefined flows. I can use these patterns and save Office email attachment to OneDrive, or send a customized email when a new file is added, or I can browse. There are many templates which already exist. Approve requests if I want to. Send approval email when a new item is added to the list. Conditions. Connect to on-premise data if I want to. I need to of course a gateway, but I can connect to on-premise data. I encourage you to test. This is also part of a strategy of Microsoft strategy for creating an easier automation, but also going into the RPA strategy. Do you know what RPA is? RPA. A show of hands. Who knows what RPA is? All right, we have a couple of people knowing this. Okay, so RPA, robotic process automation. And Microsoft is going into this strategy of automating actions and connecting devices and having an interaction with humans and basically controlling or facilitating this interaction of I ask for something happens with the whole process behind, and it's going into the strategy of automating things and robotic process automation. Another thing that Microsoft is doing, and this is something that I really liked, but I haven't played with it at all. Microsoft Flow is allowing you, for instance, to record some steps. Let's imagine the following scenario. You have some legacy applications, and it's very difficult for you to integrate that application with the new apps. What Flow can do, or Power Automate can do, is basically read all the steps that the user would do to fill in the fields in that legacy application, take those fields, copy those fields, and move them into your own application. So you could say when a user is entering data into that old application, start this flow and copy the actions that this user is doing and put that data into another application. So for me, this is an amazing thing to be able to copy data without integrating it. And this is done with what it's called the Power Automate Studio. That is also a version launched for desktop, where you can design this workflows. It starts recording all those steps that you are doing, and then you can apply these steps by automating. And this is the application. You can apply those steps every time you want to copy or to take that data that you entered in desktop. It's really the amazing tool in my opinion, and it will help a lot. Data entry and automating the integration between applications. So I encourage you to take a look at this. A new thing, a process
Nico,
advisor.
This is Bill. I just wanted to jump in real quick for a second. In case anybody has to jump off, because we're approaching the end of our scheduled time. Just wanted to let you know that we really appreciate you attending the seminar today. We have the entire suite of Dynamics and Power Apps courses, the Microsoft official curriculum available at pretty much every course they offer. And we accept Microsoft training vouchers for those courses. In addition, we develop customized training for your custom built business applications. And we're doing that with some federal customers right now with Microsoft. We work very closely with the CSMs the business app CSMs that you're working with. So if you're in need of anything, training, or need more information, please contact me or contact your CSM, and we'll get that going. I just wanted to say that before anybody had to jump off. And then I think, Niku, we have a little bit more to go, right? Are you okay sticking around
just a
for a
couple
bit?
of minutes. Just
Okay,
a couple
great.
of minutes.
Okay,
We'll finish.
fantastic.
We'll open for questions.
All right, thanks.
All right. So the next step in this automation is, of course, the bots, and we are talking about the virtual bots that can interact based on a pattern that is given. I created a demo a couple of days ago for a customer service environment where we had a chat widget, and this is the concept of omni-channel. And we put that chat widget on the chat on the website, sorry. And when someone would go on the chat and ask for or say hello or something, the chatbot would automatically respond and say, "My name is this. I'm a virtual agent. How may I help you?" And then starting to interact with the user in a natural way, I would say. Now, of course, you can block the virtual agent if you don't have the right input or the expected input. And then the virtual agent can redirect you to a human agent when this happens. So the Power Virtual Agent is part of Power Platform. It is part of this automation, and it goes hand in hand with Flow. But if you want to start creating, I'm back in make.powerapps.com. You always have chatbots, create, and you can start creating these chatbots that can be integrated in different scenarios. Can be integrated in Microsoft Teams, for instance. And what they will do in a visual way, they could show you in a very nice way, in a visual way, how they could answer to each question, how they can offer options. If you select one option, then it will take you to another branch, to another area based on the conditions. And when you want, or when you finish, or when the time comes, they can escalate, or they can transfer to a human agent or someone in the call center or in another environment. With these bots, with these chat bots, for instance, you can use them on the chat widgets on the website. You can use them in WhatsApp. You can use them in Facebook Messenger or in Facebook for Facebook communication. So you can get all this input from different areas. You can use it in Microsoft Teams, and you can get all this input from different areas and get them in one place and automate a bit. There are many scenarios right now in HR departments. People asking for different things, for processes, for procedures, for information, and HR departments have automated these answers using the chatbots. This is one thing that I have seen happening a lot lately. And my last topic, and one of my favorite ones, is the understanding citizen behavior with customer insights. Customer insights is a recent product. It's almost 1 year old, 1.5 years old, but it's the next BI. And if you go to home.ci.ai.dynamics.com, it will basically take you to the customer insights. This is a software as a service ready application for understanding the behavior of citizens, of customers, internal customers, by connecting to different data sources. So what this application does is it's connecting to different data sources, and then with modeling patterns, with analysis behavior, with artificial intelligence behind, it can predict behaviors. It can give you patterns. It can give you segmentation. It can give you expected incidents, so incident of some sort, based on some statistics model, I'll give you an example. You can, for instance, predict the heart rate diseases within a population. So if you connect to different data sources like buying behavior, like how much sport they're doing, like medical files of patients and so on, based on the Azure machine learning and with customer insights, you can create segments of people, of citizens that could be impacted by heart disease, by coronary disease. Yeah. And then these segments can be then exported to different data sources, to marketing tools maybe, and then you can start promote to them some plans of maybe going to doctors and doing a visit, maybe taking some sort of actions, medication, and so on and so forth. So you can use these segmentations. Now, not sure why my model is not working in here. Let me see if I can do something else. Okay. All right. So I'll try to use the demo. The most important thing is this data can be in any data source. It can be in your on-premise application, can be in cloud application. You can bring the data together. You can unify the information and have one profile of your citizen based on different data and different criteria. You can unify it, and then you can get that unique information about your internal customer, about your citizen. There are a lot of scenarios that I'm presenting where, for instance, I can have a customer buying something from the website, and then they are also buying something from the shop, from the stores, but they also have some reviews on other websites, not in the stores, but they also did some visits. They also have some interactions in call center. So I have a lot of application, separate application, and by the way, they are logging in with their phones to our wireless system. We have a lot of application, a lot of data sources, and we need to put the things together to understand, for instance, if this customer will leave us in the next 3 months or not. What is the subscription churn? What is the loyalty? What is the next logical purchase for that customer? And this is the tool that does this. And it's built on it's connected to Power Apps. It's built on Common Data Services model. It's using Azure engines and is using the Azure Power to interpret, to transform data, to create this modeling, and also Azure Machine Learning, which is using the statistical model. And here you will need a data scientist, but you can have these statistical models that can be trained, can learn, can adjust, and provide you the segmentation of this forecasting for future behaviors. And if you look for Azure Machine Learning, this is under the same umbrella as the other tools. Access can be provided to with Azure Active Directory again, and in here you will have some information what this is. All right. I will stop here because we can talk about customer insights and machine learning. I just wanted to make you aware of these applications that are available and connecting to Power Platform. And I think this could be an interesting solution for government, for public sector to understand citizen behavior, to predict what will be the taxes that are going to be paid or cashed in the next 6 months, for instance. We know what happened in the past, but we can also predict the future with these automated tools and the statistical models. Now, I would like to open for questions. If you want me to elaborate on some topics, please feel free. I'm more than happy to do that.
think I hit all the stuff I had. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your feedback and for your interactiveness.
Well, if no one has any other questions, thank you so much for attending. And again, please contact me or your Microsoft CSM if you need more information about our training. And thanks again.
Thank you very much.